on, go live. What's happening, family? What's happening, family? This is another episode of Plugged In, to where I am your host, FO Plug, your favorite plug, plugging you in with the information that you need in order to help you be a little bit more successful. And today, ladies and gentlemen, my guest, not only is a friend of mine, which I have grown to know this person and his family, his lovely family, and he agreed to do this for me. Restaurant owner, well, let me say it like this: business owner, entrepreneur, and continuously to expand and grow his business from St. Simon's Island, Mr. Westley Lynn. What's going on, Wesley?
Going on, my man? How you doing?
Man, I am living the dream and loving life as always.
I hear that.
And I'm just enjoying it. How's business for you?
Business is good, man. We're starting to get into the time of season where it kind of mixes up a little bit. The restaurant stays consistent, and catering kind of goes into a dull moment because no one gets married in South Georgia in 100-degree weather. That's just something that doesn't happen. So we've got about 2 months of that, and then we kind of mellow out and gives us time to rebuild and revamp and come up with new ideas, and then we go back into the busy season starting October, September. So things are going down. But the food truck industry takes off during this time of year. So we start to pick back up with that and get involved in some festivals and kind of travel around and have fun with that as well.
Wow. So how many all of this is surrounding the restaurant? I don't want to get into it too early because I want you to give your background story for all of the subscribers and the followers out there to the channel. Those who are interested in getting into the food industry for catering or restaurant or food trucks. Food trucks is a hot item right
now. Right.
And you guys are also doing that too as well?
Correct. So that's one of our, it's a different market, kind of something that we didn't really know that we were going to get into. It was more of I wanted to buy this truck and I wanted to have it as a mobile kitchen for our catering aspect, so we could kind of find our way into a different avenue, just to bring a little something extra to the house. I want to be your one-stop shop where you can come in, we can have wedding planning for you. We can set you up with a florist, we can handle your rentals. And then we have the kitchen aspect for us to have a rental kitchen. So that's kind of what it was initially supposed to be. And then we ended up finding out that there was a little bit more need for the food truck, kind of where we live too. And so we jumped into the aspect of actually turning it into a business, and it's been very lucrative and one that really just kind of took off, and we didn't expect it to really do what it did. And it's made a name for itself. And so we're just going to keep pushing it now.
Now, so have you always been into the food industry?
I have, and it's been one of those things. It's since I grew up watching my mother in it. It was something that was it was a part of my life. You get out of school at 2:30, and then my mom worked in the restaurant industry, so I would bike from elementary school to where my mom worked, and was just always in around it. And then the people that she worked with became family, and it just kind of intrigued me. The whole hospitality industry in itself. I've tried to get out of it, like everybody that gets in this business. They get in, they're I got to step out and do something different. And I did do that. I liked it, I enjoyed it, but it just still wasn't my calling, I guess. My niche. And for me, it's kind of I'm still fairly young. I've done quite a bit in the restaurant industry. I've been a part of a lot in this industry, and it's just done me very well, and gives me the opportunity to kind of give back in a different way, I guess.
Wow. So you started out, what did you start out? Fast food restaurant, or did you start
I started out in local seafood restaurants when I was in high school, being a busboy or oyster shucker. When my mom was in the business, I was, middle school, and would go up there and have dinner when she was working at nights, and they would allow me in the kitchen and let me make pizzas or wash dishes or, do something along those lines. So I was always around it. But fast food was never something that I got involved into, and they call it QSR, really quick service restaurant. And until recently, actually in the past 4 years, I got involved with a company that does salads, like a buffet line of salads. Really fresh, cool concept that takes off, does really well, and it's really big out west. But I got involved in that for a short period of time, just to kind of see how that industry worked and operated. And it's But that's not my background or have been. My background's in fine dining, full service restaurants. I've also consulting as well too. I'm a level one som. So wine has kind of been something that's been kind of geared into our aspect of things, which allows us to be a little bit more broad span. So it's all I know, man. It's what I live and breathe.
Right. So now, what is a level one swam? If I'm saying that
Som,
correct,
sommelier.
swam.
So basically, yeah, so it's somebody that's more knowledgeable of wine, I guess. You kind of take
Oh, okay.
liking to wine. They have different levels. You have level one, two, and three, and then it goes into a master som, which is the top of the dog. But for me, it was just something I was actually doing consulting. Funny story, I was doing consulting at a place called Hammock Beach Resort in Palm Coast
Okay.
at the time, and they had a program that was kind of that they had someone that was supposed to go and take this wine. They wanted a property som on property so they could be able to upsell their wines. They had six different concepts on property.
Hmm.
And so the guy wasn't able to do it. So they asked me, they were like, here, could you go and take this course? It's already been paid for. We kind of need somebody. And they gave me 3 months, or actually, excuse me. It was 2 months that I needed prepared for this test. And I was like, wow, I don't really about time
Wow.
working and all this. So I
Right.
went to Tampa, Florida, actually, and I took the test. It was a 2-day class, 2-day test, and I passed, surprisingly. And so I kind of took that niche. I just took that and ran with it. And it's been something
Right.
I've incorporated in every one of our concepts that we've ever built. Um, or ever done. And so it brings a different avenue to the concept itself with having someone that's a little bit more knowledgeable.
So literally now, I've heard that people in that industry, you can insure your palate because your palate is your moneymaker at that time when you're tasting and grading
Right.
different wine.
That's correct. Yeah, and you have to be very careful with how you live your daily life too. I mean, it really can
Right.
get to a point where when you get people, I mean, there's people that will forget more than I ever know in that industry. I can go in and build out a wine list for a restaurant. I can do basic trainings, to get staff where they need to be, which is part of our consulting packages as well too,
Wow.
is continuous training. But there's some of these people that get in there and they do these crazy blind tastings and they know what the vintage, what grape, and it's crazy to see how some of these people go so in depth with it, but they have a true passion for that. They take that as their lifelong dream. They can make a lot of money. They travel the world doing it, and it's something that is just you really kind of got to dedicate your life to for sure.
Isn't, isn't that amazing how when you start the path of doing one thing, doors start opening up to
Right,
other things, and
right.
you never knew. I mean, now I'm well, I'm not pretty sure, but I can imagine that you just wanted to be a restaurant owner, and then all of the wine stuff started popping up, food trucks started popping up, catering started popping up, just from you wanting to start one thing.
Right.
My question is, how important was that to just start? Or what would you say to somebody who's out there that they want to do it, but they trying to make sure that all of the stars are lined up and the birds are singing the right song and all of that? And what do you say to that person who just basically, I mean, I don't know what they're doing, but
Well, I'll tell
how
you this.
important is starting?
You have to be, and this is for me. I was fortunate enough to I had a very good mentor, someone that kind of took me in under their wing and really taught me everything I know. And we worked really well together because I learned as I learned and grew and kind of got more in depth in this business. I was able to bring more different diversity to the table, and so our partnership was really good. Um, but he used to always tell me, he's like, "Be patient, kid. Be patient," because I was so rushed. I come from my mother was an amazing woman, but I didn't come from money. So one of the things I always did was I surrounded myself when I was when I was a teenager. I surrounded myself around people that had money, so it pushed me to
Ooh,
say, "Hey, man, I want to get a taste of that, and not be, hey, man, thank you for inviting me here. Let me invite you here." You know what I'm saying? And
wow.
so that was something that really motivated me. So you got to be, but being patient, kid. I'll never forget that. And it's just mean, look, I didn't have my first restaurant until I was, 36 in his mind. And for me at this moment, I was 27, 26, 27 years old. And I'm like, man,
Mm,
I want it. I want it.
right.
So I think you have to be willing to, with this business, there's been a couple of times I've put everything on the line. And what I mean, you put everything out there and it's like, look, this is what I got. But I think if you stay true to who you are, you got to be willing to take risks, that's for sure.
Right.
But you got to be smart with it and the understanding that do you want to be a business owner because you the title or and
Mm,
the glory that you get, or do you really, truly love what you do and you want to be a business owner because you want to bring something to the table and be diverse and something that someone because I like to look at it is that we bring something to the table that no one else brings. And
right.
whether we do or not, that's how our vision and that's kind of how we push our company to believe. We believe that we do something different than the person next to us because there's a million different caterers out there. There's a million different restaurants out there.
Right.
But when you start breaking down numbers and statistics and the facts that, you know, you don't have as many, 15, 20 years ago, you had a lot more stay-at-home moms. You don't have that as
True.
much anymore. You have
Right.
the husband and wife working now. So, with
Right.
that being said, by the time the wife goes to work, the husband goes to work, they get their kid home from school, they got
Mm,
baseball, they sit down, they don't feel like cooking. They don't have time for themselves. So they grab something, they go out, they grab something to eat. So, this number a couple years ago, and I haven't looked at it, was 60% of America eats out 4 nights a week. So in my mind
wow.
is that for me to have a concept, I'm gonna say, okay, well, I'm most likely not gonna get you 4 nights a week. But if I can get you one night a week, 4 times a month, you know what I mean? That's residual, and that's something
Right.
that we strive. So, and to me, so that's different, right? So that's how I look at we're
Right.
different. That's my goal, things of that nature. So you just got to be able to say, hey, listen, I'm going to be patient. I'm going to sit back and look at it, and I'm going to know the most that I can possibly know before diving into this because I want to own this business to truly own this business, not just for a
Right.
title. And I think
Now,
sometimes we're lost in that.
well, I mean to cut you off right there, because this is a question that a lot of my clients who take my course ask. Did you create your own self time clock to get from point A to point B, or you just said, I'm all in, I'm sold out. This is all that I have, and this has to work.
So I work a lot better of this is all in, this has to work. You know what I mean? Because it puts
Right.
me, it makes it to a point where no's not an option. You know what I mean? When you give yourself
Ooh.
an opportunity to fail, then for me, that's when I take advantage of that. I am blessed. I
Mm.
have great partners. I have great friends. I have a great support system. To get me to where I've gotten, and that's some people don't have that. So I
Right.
set myself up for, the fact that I hate failing at anything. I don't like being a disappointment. And so when I look at it that way, I really that's kind of what I live by. No is not an option. So I'm all in and it's gonna take a lot to take me out. And that's just kind of how I
Right.
work every day.
I was sharing with a mutual friend of ours, another business owner, an entrepreneur, and that was something that I always ask, the people who are on that level. Now the second question to that is, did you start this business before you got married, or you was already married and then started the business?
Already married. And then yeah,
Okay.
we had gotten married. And then we had went full year, or almost a full year. I'm actually coming up on 3 days will be the yeah, 3 days will be the 1 year anniversary of this company. This
Oh,
year.
okay. Well, happy anniversary.
Yeah,
Now,
I appreciate it.
how important was that conversation to have? Now, you already sold in. You already sold out. You're zeroed in. This is what you want to do. How important was that, especially in a marriage, and a new marriage at that? How important was it to get the new wife to be just as dedicated and sold in and to give you that time to grow? Because the question that I asked our mutual friend was, to be an entrepreneur and a business owner, you got to be a little loony,
Right.
because you're coming up with you making something out of absolutely nothing
Right.
in a space that it is crowded. So how important, or how did that conversation go, if you want to share that, to get her to buy in and to give you that time to grow?
Right. I think the most important thing is in this point in time when this opportunity came up, was kind of like I approached my business partner and said, listen, this is a great opportunity. I think and it was kind of like, hey, is this something that you're interested in? Am I interested in before we make that conversation? I
Right.
think one of the biggest things with my wife is she does things. She's an amazing mother. She works hard. She handles social media for us. She has her
Mm,
own thing with TikTok going on, and she handles
right.
all the daily stuff of the house. So, that's a job in itself. And so I think the most important thing was saying, hey, is this going to be at the same time we had just had a baby? We were having a baby in December. So,
Oh, wow.
we're purchasing this company, 5 months later, not even 4 months later from having a baby. Is this something that you're going to
Wow.
be able to handle? I'm not going to be there as much. I'm going to be here
Right.
when I'm commuting. And I made sure I asked her that multiple times and had that conversation multiple times. And every single time she gave me the blessing, look, this is for us. We need to do this. It's going to be tough.
Right.
So that was definitely one of the most important things, because without that support, it's never going to work. If you're going to, if you,
Right.
the one thing I will say about we have two locations, one of them being in Savannah, and I miss about going to Savannah so much is that in the morning when I leave to head to Savannah, my routine's the same. I'm on my way to Savannah and I'm thinking about my day. I'm planning my day. I've got an hour
Right.
drive to my office, and then I do my day. And then when I come home, I've got an hour to decompress. So I don't bring that mess into my house, and
Right.
so that's just our
Ooh.
conversations are, hey, how was your day? It was good, and then how was your day? And then we talk and we go into that. And it's kind of like all the negativity that I could have brought into the house is gone because I had an hour to decompress. And so I think
Right.
that's really important. Now, my routine changes a little bit. I go to the gym after my office day. So I kind of take that time to decompress. So I come home. So we talk, we try to keep that. But if you don't
Mhm.
have a supportive, spouse in any of that, in any business you do, you're going to be, because there's so much stress. And especially in this business, anybody that does restaurants or hospitality, this is one of the most stressful businesses to be in. You have days where things are good, or you have months that are just, through the roof. I mean, we took this company and grew it by, over 280,000 in year one, which is pretty cool. And so,
Wow.
to do that and say, man, that's great, that's good. But if you got debt or you have bad months and that stress comes in, if you don't have someone you can go home and count on, it makes it 10 times harder. You know what I mean? And so I
Right.
think that's a good question to ask. That's really important. And I think to anybody that's in that situation, it's definitely a conversation that needs to be had.
Right.
Because then it
And,
becomes
and, and,
because then it becomes,
uh,
are you doing it for you or are you doing it for your family? It kind of goes back to that previous question we were asking,
okay.
is it the image of being an owner? Do you truly care? Because, if you
Right.
truly care, you're going to want it to be and, I think that is a really good question, and it's very important.
Now, here's another question, and this is off before we get off into the questions that that's been out there for the subscribers, especially new business owners or people that's wanting to go into this space. Um, you you hear talks that how do you stay zeroed in and locked in on this one thing every day? Well, let's say, for instance, some. Well, let me formulate my words correctly. Matter of fact, let me double back on that because I want to ask that. How do you stay focused and zeroed in? That's the basis or the nucleus of it. How do you stay motivated to do this every day?
Well, I'll tell you this. I think that I'm never motivated to do this every day because there's always
Wow.
growth in everything. And there's always opportunities everywhere else. I am constantly looking for the next opportunity. I feel like the lifestyle and it's not even the lifestyle, the legacy that I want to build generational wealth, right? And I want it to
Okay.
be something that if my family or my kids don't want this business, this isn't something that I'm leaving them with by saying that this is all I have. Because if that's not what they want, it doesn't work. Everything that I work to build goes to nothing. So I don't want that
Mm,
to be the thing. So I'm constantly working on the next opportunity. I believe I'm trying to build, and we're getting there, a good internal staff to where it allows them, everybody's in the right places to operate the company, and it allows me to kind of, be involved and then still look at new avenues and new ideas. Um,
right.
we have a very small circle, and it's a loyal circle. And so I think
Mm,
inside of that too, we in our company we have some really good close friends that work inside this company, and I would love to be able to grow with them. And I'm like I said, I was blessed to be able to get involved in in these multiple opportunities. I was blessed to be given some of the stuff that I was given. But I've never taken any of that for granted, and I've always been thankful, and willing to turn that around and give that to someone else if I can, or bring them involved in that if I can. So I don't stay. To answer that question is I stay focused on this because this is what it is now. But I'm always looking to grow into something else. I'm always looking to find out what's out there next. What can we get into, and kind of still maybe stay in this realm. I mean, hospitality is where it's at for me. It's what I love. But
right.
there's
Right.
different avenues inside of this and this side of this industry that we can grow with.
Now you had mentioned your staff and they're loyal to the company. They can see the vision. They want to grow with you. How important is surrounding yourself? Because we hear a lot, especially on the urban side of the spectrum. I'm gonna say in the Black community, it's two different mindsets, and not just black side, but it's white side. Because I'm pretty sure you have Caucasian people out there with some with the same mentality. How important is surrounding yourself with people that uh, want to grow and build with you? Because I'm probably quite sure you heard along the way, man, that's a risky business, man. And this is family and close friends,
Right.
uh, man, it's too many restaurants out there. Well, blah, 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 whatever they might have said.
Right.
But how important is that to cement yourself around a good group of people?
I think that starts with your outer circle, so it works in, right? So the outer people that you hang out with, that they're the people that aren't involved inside of your company, the people that are they look from a perspective of the outside in, right? They can say, hey,
Right.
it's not a good idea, you know, the hell with that, right? Like whatever you believe in, if you truly believe in it and that's something that you want to do, shoot for it, because everything that you don't know what's going to take off or what's going to be good or why kill someone's dream, So I think the biggest thing is you start from your outer circle and you surround yourself around people. And that's why my circle's small and will stay small. It eliminates the drama and it eliminates the he said, she said, right? Like we keep it tight, we keep it small. And so I think when you give yourself around that, and then it carries on internally, I try to lead, but and I'm a different, I have I have a couple of friends that work inside of our company and it makes things tight sometimes, right? It makes it a little bit more difficult. But I think that with any deal is if you get them to believe in your vision, you get them to believe in you, and then you get them to follow that, then it gives you the space to say, look, all right, we this is where we're trying to go. This is what we're trying to do. Why are we backtracking, right? So you can have these conversations, and you can start kind of building yourself back up. I think it's good to, you have your away time, but it's always good for me when I'm sitting on the couch and a couple of my coworkers are like, man, I've got this idea. I love that, right? Because that means your mind, you're constantly thinking. You see something, and you're like, hey, that's a great idea for our company. Let's talk about it. So we always stay engaged. We try to. And so I think it's extremely important. And I think anybody, they need to have someone they can trust, that is internal with them, because it's someone that is willing to take that ride with them. And it makes it feel a hell of a lot better when you have that person.
Right. Okay. Now this part of the episode segment, we're going to take some questions that's being put out there and these are the top 10 questions that we selected for all. And these are future people who want to open up business, a restaurant, or get into the hospitality space. So question number 1, what were the biggest challenges you faced when opening your restaurant, and how did you overcome them? Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, I tell you this, for me, it's a little different. I would rather take over. I would rather create a concept from the ground up, which I've done multiple times, and hire a staff in, than take over a company, which is what I just recently did with this last one. Because here's the benefit of it. When you start from the ground up and it's your concept, it's your baby, it's what you put your blood, sweat, and tears into. People are going to respect that, right? So when they come in, as long as you're who you are and you stay true to who you are through the whole process, they're going to respect you for that. The last thing that someone's going to respect, again, and it goes back to this title thing. I know I bring it up, but there's so many people that do. They get into this business because they want to say they own a restaurant. They have no care for what the people that are working for them go through, or the stress that they go through. So I think it's important when you're putting your neck out there, you're working alongside of them. I always say this is another thing. You always should earn their respect, never demand it. And the second, when you do that from an ownership standpoint of earning your staff's respect, your turnover rate is going to be small. Your loyalty is going to be thick. And it's just a different ball game. I'm also a firm believer on there are some, as an owner, because a lot of people think this glory of being an owner, you just collect all this cash. You could do 2-3 million in sales a year, and we're banking in the money. You're like, I did 5 million in sales, but I got about a 2.3 million in debt, and you know what I mean? So they don't see that. So there is a thing as an owner, there's some privileges of that I think that are important, and the hierarchy needs to be set. But I definitely think that respect is something that you should earn from your staff members, and the loyalty will stay there.
Right. Okay, man. I love that. I love that. All right. Question number two. Um, what do you believe sets successful restaurants apart from those that struggle or fail? Ooh.
Customer service, 100%.
Mm.
Let me tell you.
Not the product. I mean, well, I can't say the product. That's called customer service, right?
Yeah, I think your product. No, I think your number here's you got to have a good concept, right? You got to
Hmm.
have. So you see this day and time is they're coming up with crazy things. I mean, you got robots delivering your food out to you in diners. They're trying all this crazy off the wall stuff these days to get people into these concepts, and they're
Mm.
cool, they're fun. But you also got these people that are not, they don't care about this AI crap. They don't care about going into the future with this. They want to go sit down at a restaurant and have
Oh,
someone come up to them, take
somebody.
care of them, and treat them and make them feel special, right?
Right.
So, of course, product is very important. Of course, having a great concept is important. But I can tell you right now, one of the things that we used to do, I had a restaurant in Orlando, Florida called Nova. It was my baby, and it was a concept that I wish I still had to this day. But we won best new restaurant. We won coolest date night. We won a bunch of awards in our first 2 years there.
Mm.
It was a really, really cool concept. We were called Nova Scratch Kitchen. And we had this system called Open Table, which a lot of restaurants have, but no one ever used Open Table like it was supposed to be used for. So Open Table, you could gather so much information on a guest through Open Table. So what
Really?
we would do is, and this goes back to this topic of 60% of America eats out 4 nights a week. This is where this theory came from for
Okay.
me. And we used to have lineup every single day before, and I was a managing partner. So I was operating of the restaurant. I was a partner. So we would have lineups every day where we talk to the staff, and I used to walk around every night before and I'd write down notes of what I saw we were missing out or missing, and then we'd go over it the next day, and it's just kind of how we constantly grew. And
Mm.
so we we had this. What we would do is we would go up to the guests, and when they make a reservation or when they didn't make a reservation, if they were walking, we'd get their last name. So we called it a chit, and the hostess would lay this little chit down at a server station, and they would grab this. So when they go greet their table, say it was table number 33, and it was Mr. Smith, they greeted that person by their last name. Hey, Mr. Smith, how are you doing this evening? So one, you just made that Mr. Smith, if he's never been there, he feels extremely special. Wow, you know my name. I'm important.
Right.
If you have been there, you remember them. So now when Mr. Smith and Mrs. Smith bring in Mr. Jones and Mr. Jones, and we greet Mr. Smith by the last name, and Mr. Smith, would you care for your Kendall Jackson Chardonnay that you like or your calamari? We just took it to the top, right? We just did we went a little extra, and it's just by getting to know your guest. And so I
Mm.
think when I say customer service, that's what makes it's the feeling special from the time that you walk in that door and to the time that you leave. It's the getting to know your staff. You can sell. People used to get so mad at me when I would go into concepts and say, yes, turn and burn's important. Turn and burn's important.
Right.
But the problem with turn and burn is that you're giving these big table sections to these servers, and they have 6 8 tables, and they're getting so overwhelmed that their services they're forgetting drinks. The guest experience just went to hell out the door, and their tip just went down. Give them a
Right.
4 table section. Let them upsell some wine. Let them upsell some martinis. Let them sell some apps and some desserts. Let them get, in with their table. Sell them some after dinner cocktails. Now they just made additional 60 on their regular 20% tip because they just upsell them and they didn't lose anything. So those
Right.
are the things like from an owner standpoint, that should be one of the most important things for them, that they know that if a situation arises, that their staff is going to be able to handle that, and they're going to handle it from a respectable way. And that all just falls in line with customer service. It's just how you're treating your business, how you're treating your guest. And so I think that is one of the most important things. And outside of having a cool concept, but if you spend more time trying to compete with the Joneses, you're always going to lose focus of what you truly were meant to be when you open up that concept. If you're a pizza joint and you're trying to compete with Joe Schmo's Pizza, and that's all you're trying to do is compete with Joe Schmo's Pizza, you're going to forget about what it was like to be Cowboys Pizza. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
you're so worried and caught up in other stuff, and that
Right.
still happens today. And that's something that I've never tried to. I try so hard not to lose focus of. I try to always make sure that yes, we want to be better. Yes, we want to grow. Yes, we want to improve. But at the same time, I want to remember who I am and why I'm in this business and why I did this concept. And so I think
And
that
you saw all of that just by understanding the open table
Right.
setup or the
Just
proper.
understanding how we
Wow.
gather things from a guest, the information that we're leaving on the table. As a manager, or as a partner, as an owner, I would walk through the dining room and I'd see people that I haven't seen or I'd see once a week. And I'd go up to them and I'd introduce myself as I'm doing table touches and I'd get their last name. And those people, well, why can't we do that with everybody? If we can do it with the 6 to 8 locals, why can't we do it with everybody? Why can't we get to know everybody? And then we utilize that and we put that into, a system that it doesn't matter if Greg had them on Wednesday, now Tina's got them on Thursday of the next week. We know exactly what they like and what they have because we just spent a little bit of time to get to know them.
Right. See, that's what I love about that, because you didn't reinvent the wheel.
No.
You just found something that a lot of other restaurants was not capitalizing on.
Right.
And that would allowed you to move that business to being the best date night in the hot new restaurant in the city. Man.
Well, I started realizing how much I was spending on this system itself. I was spending all this money on Open Table, and I'm like, for what? For them to just literally go online and book a reservation. And then I'm like, well, let me see what else I can get out of this if I'm going to spend all this money. And then we started realizing, and that was it. Kind of just, and that just made us, that's what made us a little bit different. And I think that's what I mean by the uniqueness and being different than the next person. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to go crazy. But if you've got good food, a good concept, and a good vibe, and a hell of a customer service team, you'll succeed as long as you're smart with your money.
You guys got plugged into some I call them gold nuggets of information. Those are the things that people need to be plugged into, because everybody's trying to come up with something new that's never been done, and they are not paying attention to what's already been established and proven.
Right.
Just go back and polish it up a little bit. Oh, man. Love that. All right, let's go to question number 3. I don't know if we can be able to get all 10 of these in, family. So for those of you who are watching, don't hesitate to email us with your questions. I'll make sure that you have, if you want to take advantage of Wesley's consulting business, you'll have all of his information on the back end, and all of that will be in the credits. Let's pick a good one now, Wesley. Okay, you talked about the concepts already. What advice do you have for aspiring restaurateurs regarding menu development and pricing strategies? Now, that's a good one.
That is a really good one. I think so let's break that into 2 parts. So I think that there is a lot of good things that you can do with a menu. Actually, I know there's a lot of good things that you can do with the menu. Being extremely creative while keeping your costs down. We get so lost in the fact of trying to just do something that's so off the wall. So I would say, again, whatever your passion to cook is, you need to stick with that, because that's what you're going to be really good at. Find out, do your research of where your location is going to be, where you want your location to be, what's in that area. I think it's extremely important to finding out your medium income in that area, wherever your concept's going to be, because that gives you an idea of what kind of menu pricing you can go off of. If you're in an area that's making $40,000 to $80,000 a year, you're not going to be able to go in and be at $22, $25 per person on an entree, because they're not going to support it. It's out of their budget. If you're in a place that's, higher, then you can kind of do that. So you need to do your research on that for sure. I also think that, you have to look at the food costs, as right now, as everyone knows, it's in this industry and business, things are going through the roof. They're constantly changing. They're never stuck to the, for us anyways, it's never the same week. So you got to kind of get creative with that, and just stand on top of it. But the most important thing, man, I'm telling you, do not be greedy. Do not be greedy, because residual income is going to get you a lot longer in the business, a lot farther in the business, than having one good day where people don't come back because you're too expensive.
Wow.
And word of mouth is the biggest marketing tool, man. As soon as you have someone come into your concept and they find out that you're outrageous, you're expensive, and it just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going, it's the gift that keeps on giving, man.
Really? Wow. And so there is a such thing as that you can be too expensive.
You can. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can outprice. I've seen concepts, and that is the hardest concept from a consulting standpoint. That I've only had 2 restaurants that I've had to go in that were failing and really try to bring back to life. one we
Right.
couldn't, and one we did. And the hardest part of that is going into somewhere that has been so overpriced because it puts a bad taste in their mouth. You can you can screw up a night of food and have long ticket times. You can give some food away. You can help out with that. You can't be overpriced and someone hate the price and give them food away and expect them to come back, right? Because then what are you going to do? Constantly give them free food and not make money off of them, or they're not going to come back because it's too expensive. So when I say don't be greedy, everybody needs to do. I've caught myself fine, on the thin line before. I've gone into a concept without doing my research and been like, this is going to be great. This is going to be great. And it's gotten scary. And those are just kind of you live and learn lessons. But I think that if you can really figure out what it is that you want, do a menu that you can reuse product, right? Do a menu that doesn't consist of you having to throw product out every single day.
Wow.
So those are things that you can just try to, capitalize on, or take product and use it into something else. If it's not, you always want to serve fresh food. You always want to have that. I'm not meaning that, but I'm meaning that there's other things you can do to help your food costs. But I definitely say don't outprice yourself.
Do you recommend like having a simple menu? I've gone to some restaurants, man, where it's like a phone book of stuff, and I'm just like, where is this? Where is that? I mean, because the menu is like 4 or 5 flips back and forth. Do you recommend?
I do not. Every concept I've done 10 concepts, 10 and 6 from the ground up that we have built as a group and created. And I will tell you this: I've never in a single concept have I ever had a menu over 1 page ever, because you're going to forget. You're going to forget, like you just said. By the time you get to that 3rd page, you already forgot what you saw on the 1st page. So that's a good point. So that goes back to the point of me saying that when you talk about turning your tables, right? There's a way that you can give excellent service and still get your table in and out, right? If you stick to the steps of service process, right? If you going up, I greet your table, from the time that they sit, they should be greeted within 30 seconds. From the time that they sit, they should have a beverage, ice water or a Coke in there within, under 2 minutes. So you can stick to these services, not making them feel rushed, but get them go. If you got a menu that is so freaking long, it's going to slow that whole process down, because now they're not ordering as quick because it's taking them longer to decide what they want to eat. And another thing, if you have menus, like I'm one that I've eaten some amazing food. I've traveled all over. I've been out of this country in multiple different places. I've eaten great food all over. And I'm going to tell you, the most difficult thing is to read a menu that you can't understand. If you've got if it's a fancy menu dish, dumb it down for people, because it's the less questions they have to ask their server, the faster they're going to get their food. You see, it's numbers. It's all about timing again, and you can make it happen. You just have to have, but that's why it's so important to have a great customer service team that wants to learn and cares about your business and willing to take these steps to be. You get some people that are just there for the money for that night. They don't give a shit about your business. It changes everything. So, but I definitely think, it's one of those things that you just got to you got to do your research, but people outprice themselves all the time. It's crazy. It is so crazy. They believe their product and their product might be worth that if they were in New York City, or if they were in Miami, or if they were, but wherever their location is, it's just not what's feasible for those people. And so it's being greedy sometimes.
Now, would you recommend for people to start because you mentioned the food truck business, food truck industry, which has been booming. I know several friends that have started a food truck, and they're doing $250,000. I mean, they're doing $250,000, $300,000 a year,
right?
Just in food truck. And I was like, Jesus, I wish I had bought me one of them little Debbie trucks. But but now, would you recommend somebody start that first and experiment with the concept and then scale from there? Or
if you have to make that a living, if you had to make that your main source of income, and you haven't operated a business before, I would not recommend starting with a food truck. If you have, it is a different breed of, and I don't say it because you couldn't run it as a business. What I say it is it's very difficult to get your truck at events. It's very difficult to get booked. Florida's different, than Georgia. But it's one of those things where it is tough to get. So if you can't, and you're only allotted to so much money you can make off. Some trucks our truck has done 4,500, 5,000 in one day. And we've done 140 in one day. You know what I mean? And you never know where it's going to go. Okay. So I think, for us, we're fortunate enough that we don't have to be out there every single day. And sometimes I wish we did, honestly, because it would make us a lot hungrier, but I think that when your back's against the wall, that's some people can operate better that way. It is it's a smaller concept to manage. It's a smaller concept to operate. So I think from the learning standpoint of how to operate a business, it's definitely the way to go. But if that is your main source of income, you need to really do your research and have figure out what you have in the next 6 months, that what festivals, what concerts, what events, what fairs, what are in your area or in your surrounding area that you're willing to go to for those 6 months. I know a guy that he got on Luke Bryan's farm tour, and he traveled for 6 months out of the year, and he profited 120 grand in 6 months. And then he would just work here and there the rest of the 6 months until he went back on tour. So you got people that are willing to do that. You can make a damn good living. I mean, really, truly, you can make a good living. But it's just all about how hungry you are, man. It's about how big your hustle is too.
Okay. Okay. And that's something that you can't teach is the hustle.
You can't.
Some people have it and some people don't.
That's right.
Right. Get ready to end. I'm going to ask you, and while I do I got to pay some bills and do some for our sponsors. And while I'm doing that, I want you to think about what quote or saying or persons that you have heard and it has resonated with you, and that's in the forefront of your mind, that what keeps you going every day. So think about that. I'm going to be right back in a minute, and while I do this real quick. Okay. So we'll be right back with Mr. Westley Lynn with Cape Creations Catering. Family, today's show is sponsored in part by Tobacco Touch. This is an Arabian fragrance that's coming in. I think you guys can see this. This green screen is really not cooperating today, but this is Tobacco Touch. You guys can see the link to get Tobacco Touch, which is an Arabian perfume, which these are booming right now all over the intraweb. So if you guys were interested in the Tobacco Touch, where it has that cigar smoky tobacco spice, this is the gift that you want to get your man in your life. This one right here definitely turns heads. It fills up a room and it leaves a lasting impression. The projections is great on this, and the longevity is personally tested by the plug yourself. You guys can see the videos where up to 8 hours. Now that's some good parfum. All right, now we're back with Mr. Westley Lynn as we get ready to close out. Wesley, what quote, saying, or person that you have heard that resonates with you and you want to leave that and pass that on to new business owners that's coming in that wants to get into this space?
I would definitely say for me, Danny Meyer's been a big inspiration to me. He wrote a book, Turning the Table. He's written multiple books. He was the #1 restaurateur in the world, but not because of that for him. It was his story for me. When I got into diving into his book, he was came from a very wealthy family, Ivy League school, and turned it all down to go work in a restaurant in New York City, and start from the basis of a busboy to a server to a bartender, all the way up to the #1 restaurateur in the world. Wow. And it's just a really, really cool concept of books to see how this man really just kind of gave everything and had a passion for this business. And he took it to the top. So that's kind of one of a motivation for me. And that's something that it's always stuck with me. It's always motivated me, humbled me. And like I said, no is not an option, man. If you stick to that and you make that and steal that in your head, and just knowing that you can't fail. It'll definitely light a fire under your butt. That's for sure. I can't hear you.
How about now?
I got you now.
All right. For those out there, I lost my train of thought. For those out there who want to take advantage of your consulting business, they want to talk with you 1-on-1, get more insight in that consulting, can they reach out to you and
Absolutely.
manage your service there. You want to go ahead and do a info drop?
Yeah. So you can email me at Lynn, LYNN.consulting, the number 1 at gmail.com. If you have any questions, or just shoot it. I love to help. I love to, to be an assistance to anybody. I don't know everything, but I'm on the right track to learn. I'm always willing to learn. I love having conversations and being educated, and having other people educate me as well too. So you guys please reach out. Again, that's Lynn, LYNN.consulting, the number 1 at gmail.com.
You guys can see that in the comments right below. Now, do that sound like there is a speaking tour of consulting sounding in the future?
Yeah, there is, man. That's something I've been working on, for sure. Yeah, we are. I want to get into into motivational speaking and talking to kids about graduating high school, going into college, about financial literacy.
Right.
So that's kind of something that I've been put on the back burner, but we're going to fire up and start working on here very shortly. So,
ladies and gentlemen, there you have it, Mr. Westley Lynn of Cape Creations Catering in both 2 locations, Savannah, Georgia, and St. Simons. So if you guys are in that area, please definitely stop in and have some great food over there, and you can meet the lovely family and staff and possibly get a chance to talk to Mr. Westley himself. So, which information, ladies and gentlemen, he gave a ton of information and a lot of stuff that they don't teach in school. He gave it to you right here on Plugged In. Anything you want to leave him with, Mr. Wesley?
That's it, man. That's it. Y'all go check out our ferret, Tuna Lynn, on TikTok.
There you go. Yes. I almost forgot, because your wife has created, that's a business within its own self.
That is. Yeah, it is.
Matter of fact, let me do an info drop on that so they can go check this out. It's Tuna Lynn?
Yeah, Tuna_Lynn.
Oh, Tuna. Oh, man.
_Lynn. Yep.
Tuna Lynn at where?
So it's Tuna_Lynn. And that on TikTok.
On TikTok. Okay.
And then she's got an Instagram too. Tuna Lynn.
Okay. We just did an info drop on that. and because now, how many viral videos that she has right now?
Oh, she's on TikTok. She's gotten over 100 million views, probably, or right at 100 million views. She's got just under 500,000 followers, 17 million likes. She's taken off, man. She's really just kind of, people love her. It's crazy, all within a year too. So I give my wife mad props for that. She's really just
give the wife a big shout out, man. Big shout out to the wife. Lovely family, man. I enjoyed you guys when I met you. I met you the first time. It was a few months ago.
Right. Yeah, it was about 4 months ago. Yeah, 4 or 5 months ago.
And then you guys came back down a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
I didn't get a chance to hang out with you then. But hey, the next time you come down, man, definitely give me a call, and we're gonna just have a blast, and we're gonna talk some shop.
Sounds good, buddy.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for tuning in to the show or this great episode. Please go back and check the replay and tune in to hear all of this viable information right here. Peace.